I chose Bioshock for nominee for Game of the Year. A lot of it because of the atmosphere and just kind of the way the story ran, and the visual style and sound, and how all of that came together in just such a slick package. It had that certain feeling that you don't get from other games.
Wait, no, please!
You've never been in an atmosphere like this before that just feels so well put together and complete. I mean, it had one of the most interesting stories I've played in a video game in years, and it had some of the best characters I've ever seen with Andrew Ryan and Sander Cohen. Those two guys were just, impeccable the entire way through. The enemies, the crazy powers of the plasmids, send out bees or freeze somebody or light them on fire. The best enemies in the game by far were the Big Daddies, not only because of their visual design, but also because of their sound and just the way that they were so aggressive once they started attacking you that you just were scared crapless the first couple of times you fought these things because they were just coming after you. Well, morality was a strange thing in that game. I actually tried to kill the little sisters, and then I went back and loaded up a previous save because I just felt so bad about killing the little sister. So I actually ended up saving all of them. All of this together with a great story, some amazing characters, and a couple of the best moments, I think, in gaming history come together to make this one of the most provocative games of 2007, and I think it really deserves to be nominated and maybe even win.
Call of Duty 4 sets the standard for war shooters now. Your Rainbow Sixes, your Ghost Recons, all of them have to elevate their game because of what Call of Duty has brought. The single player isn't just a game where you go around shooting guys from level to level going along a single path. They actually mix things up by having you do some really interesting things. For one thing, along with your standard number of terrorists, you also have to worry about dogs that come at you. You know what? I don't mind the bullets flying at me. I'll join the army fine. But if the enemy has dogs that are going to be chasing, trying to eat my nads, I'm out. Another thing that they did that was really cool was they put you in the gunner seat for the AC-130, and you're just popping these guns off, and all you see are these little white silhouettes on the ground, and those are the enemies, and you see them flying everywhere, and you have this guy riding shotgun who just says little things like, boom. It seems to be the trend nowadays in multiplayer games to have a class-based system. But Call of Duty does things a little bit differently and better, in my opinion, because it takes the class system of, normally some guy has to be stuck being the medic, some guy's the engineer, that kind of thing, and it opens up the roles so that the class, you're actually creating your class and picking from a list of perks, and those perks can really change and affect combat. When you consider that you have one of the best single player games of this year, one of the best multiplayer games of this year, and they're both, tied together, it certainly makes it a clear front runner for the overall game of the year and a no-brainer really to be among the 5 nominees.
Mass Effect is a game that's going to stick out in people's minds for years to come. It's kind of been a goal of game designers for a long time to turn a video game into sort of a cinematic experience, and Mass Effect is a game that comes closest to doing that. Great direction, fantastic voice acting, amazing animations, and then it's all married together with this interactivity that you can't get out of a movie experience, and yet you can with Mass Effect. And all of these things add together into something that is really memorable and truly unique. So Mass Effect has some technical issues with it. There's some texture pop in, the combat mechanics could be a little bit better. But to complain a lot about these would really be making a mountain out of a molehill. Because in the end, you play this game and all you can remember is how fantastic the experience was. There were so many fantastic games this year, but Mass Effect was the one that stood out from the pack for me because it just pushed the envelope in so many unique ways that this was really the game that impressed me the most, and it's the one that I'm going to remember for the longest as a great gaming experience. And that's why it gets my nomination for Game of the Year, and I'm sure I'm not alone in feeling that way.
Well, Orange Box is one of the best deals in gaming that we've pretty much ever seen. You basically get 5 games for the price of 1. You get Half-Life 2, which is arguably the best first-person shooter of all time. You get Episode 1, which we've seen before, but it's a great extension of the Half-Life 2 story. Then you get Episode 2, which was brand new. Then you get Team Fortress 2, which has been, like 10 years total in the making, but comes out as fantastic online play with a great class-based system. And then you get Portal, which, although it's short, is a absolutely fantastic puzzle game with some amazing writing. Well, Portal is the most unique because it's something that we've never seen before, really, in terms of both gameplay mechanics and just whatever else is in the box. It's a completely new way of tackling a puzzle game, and the writing and humor in that game is just amazing.
Unbelievable. You,
Subject name here.
must be the pride of.
Subject hometown here.
Yeah, Team Fortress 2's art style is fantastic. It's sort of this mix of cel-shaded with, sort of like Roadrunner-esque, style to it. Really, we haven't really seen too many games that have taken that approach before, and certainly none that have looked as good and have pulled that style off as well as Team Fortress 2 does. Half-Life 2 Episode 2 is basically just all of the experiences that you'll find in Half-Life 2 and even Episode 1, but just put into a much tighter package. Valve really figured out what they were doing, they refined their craft, and you're getting everything you saw in the other games, but basically all the crap is cut out and all you're left with is the gold.
I nominated Super Mario Galaxy for Game of the Year because it's not only a spectacular platformer, but it's old school design made new again. I think one of the things that really separates Galaxy from any previous platformer we've seen are these new gravity effects, where Mario is thrown into outer space and he just floats out there. You can grab him and pull him on different objects. You can jump him off planets, at which point he'll spin around. I know technology-wise it's not Mass Effect, it's not Call of Duty, but for Wii, Galaxy really pushes the system. The game uses the Wii remote, but it doesn't abuse it. So, you control Mario with the analog stick, but you're using the Wii remote to, manipulate his spins and to throw star shards throughout the universe. It's Mario again. In fact, it really feels like the spiritual sequel to Super Mario 64, which, right there in itself is a huge accomplishment. I think a lot of people would agree. On the quest to 120 stars, you're going to do everything from, gravity-defying jumps to, manipulating levels upside down, and everything else in between. You're going to see all your favorite characters from the Mario games and some recognizable locations in between. Definitely some hefty competition, but I nominated Mario Galaxy because I just think it's a spectacular platformer all around.
We take Game of the Year very serious at IGN because it's a long, arduous process that involves so many different opinions that it's really difficult to come to one consensus. So we really approach this with the idea that everyone's going to start on the same playing field. We're going to play the games that everyone's nominated, and we're really going to boil it down to one deserving game that stood above the rest. In the end, we managed to boil down our nominees to 5 fantastic games: Bioshock, Call of Duty 4, Mass Effect, Orange Box, and Super Mario Galaxy. And all of them were very deserving of the Game of the Year award. But in the end, we had to pick one, and that one, our Game of the Year, was Super Mario Galaxy. The reason we picked Super Mario Galaxy over all the other titles is, despite being the only game that's not in HD or on the most expensive hardware, is it delivered in the one area that games should deliver, and that's gameplay. It had a fantastic level design, had a personality that was really unlike the other 4 nominees, and it took the idea of gravity and moving throughout different gravities and multiple planets, and it took us somewhere we'd never been before. We've seen these ideas in bits and pieces in other games, but it never came together quite like this. And I think that's something that makes the game truly special, and especially in an era where you're surrounded by high-end visuals, high-end sound, everything's about presentation. This took it back to its roots and made it pure fun, and everything else was a bonus from there.
This was a triumph. I'm making a note here, huge success. It's hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture science. We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead.
What are you doing?
But there's no sense crying over every mistake. You just keep on trying till you run out of cake. And the science gets done and you make a neat gun for the people who are still alive.
Genuine query. Is there something I can do for you this day?
I'm not even angry. I'm being so sincere right now.
Oh my god!
Even though you broke my heart and killed me.
Nice.
And tore me to pieces.
Time out for a second. wasn't supposed to happen.
Every piece